This is the Seven Figure Standard Podcast, hosted by Arash Vossoughi and Mikey Stiller, with mindset and strategies to help you break through and create personal freedom.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Seven Figure Podcast. I'm Mikey Stiller, joined by my co-host, Arash Vossoughi, and we're so excited to be back with you. Today, we're going to be talking about trusting yourself, which is such a big topic, especially when you're wanting to take a big quantum leap in your life and you don't know maybe which step to take or when to take it or what to do. Trusting yourself is so important, and Arash is an expert on this topic. So, Arash, I'm very excited to get into this. How are you?
I'm doing great, Mikey. Great to be here.
You know, how many times have we heard in the last 10 or 15 years, or even in the last few months, how do I know when to trust myself?
You know, we hear it all the time. I literally just finished a corporate training and I was working with their leadership team on trusting themselves. So it's actually coming at a perfect time. You know what's interesting? Like, I want you to look at you, everybody listening to this. Now, are you wearing a different mask at different places in your life, in your professional career? Are you always showing up with explicit trust in yourself? See, we have to understand that there's nobody better than anybody else. Now, there may be somebody who creates better results, but that doesn't mean they're better. They're more aware in that area. And what happens is people are letting other people's title, other people's, if they earn more, other people, whatever they're better at, scaring them and intimidating them, and they shrink. See, when we're shrinking, we're operating from lack of trust. We're operating from the lowest version of ourselves. And we want to understand trust from a very simple formula. Trust comes from understanding that the same infinite that created you, that created me, created the whole universe is inside of us. And you always know the truth because the truth always resonates with the essence of who we are. Like, you know, when you have those moments where you're like, no, I know that I know that I know. And you're like, I don't know why I know, but I know that I know that I know. That's you being detached and letting yourself go to trust. And this is so important because you cannot create any type of significant improvement, any type of significant results in any area of your life if your voice is quieted down, if you're letting somebody else dictate your identity. And that's when you're not trusting yourself. You have to understand that you've got to trust what you're feeling, and you've got to speak your truth to yourself. You've got to speak it out loud. The more you trust yourself, the more the way is going to unfold the next step, the next step. I mean, think about this, Mikey. How many times do we have people say to us, well, I want to do this, but I don't know if I can do it. You know, I've never done it before. That is somebody not demanding that this is where I'm going no matter what. Trust is so important.
Arash, there's such an interesting connection between trusting yourself and so many other topics that we've already covered on the podcast, like double binding message, which you just barely done right there at the end, or self-image, you know, building your self-image, trusting yourself, then also intuition, one of our higher faculties. Will you kind of thread the most important ones for us?
Well, trust comes really from getting out of your way, getting out of your analytical mind and getting into the spirit. See, you're not going to trust if you're not in the spirit of what you're doing, the spirit of a decision, spirit in a meeting, spirit of a big idea you're working on. If you're mechanical, you're going to say, I don't know how to find my way. I don't know what I should do. Should I do nothing? Should I do this? There's no movement. We've got to put energy and passion into everything we're doing. And when we do that, that's how we're going to build trust. If you don't have passion towards something, if you don't have any vigor, any life towards it, there's no reason for you to trust. And we've got to look at what creates the trust in you. See, your goal demands you to build your faith. That's a level of trust. You're seeing what you want without your physical five senses seeing it, like you're seeing it. And then you're believing in the incredible. The incredible is like, look at all the amazing things you've accomplished. Everyone's accomplished something amazing. I know they have. Whether they call it amazing or not, work from it from before you accomplish accomplished it where you were. So everyone can go with that. But you have to understand that to achieve a big jump in your results, it's going to demand you to trust. It's going to demand you to go to places you've never gone. It's going to demand you not knowing, but you know. Like you don't physically know, you don't see it, you don't hear it, but you're like, I know if I do this, this is setting me up to win.
Let's say someone listening to this doesn't have any trust in themselves. Maybe they are backed up against a wall, or they've got the odds stacked against them. Maybe they've made some poor decisions and it's caused them to not trust themselves, not trust what decisions to make. Where do they start building that back?
You got to start building with trusting from this point forward, every decision at a time. What happens for people is they'll lose their trust in themselves because of an external result. And they'll say, well, I tried this, I invested in this, but it didn't work. So they stop taking risks. You have to take risks to win. I'm going to tell you that right now. And it demands you to trust. What I want you to do is develop an attitude where you develop your I don't give an F muscle, where you say, I'm going all in no matter what. I'm going all in. And it starts with one micro decision first. And it's a real small decision. You start trusting yourself. I'm literally talking about you're driving, and you have this thought that says turn right. Even though you normally go straight, you've got to trust it and turn right. You got to start with the micro. See, a lot of people are not trusting because they're overthinking. They're letting their analytical mind get in and saying, well, this happens, then this will happen, then this will happen. That's no way to live. That's no way to create significant results. I've used Einstein's quote several times here. He says, logic will take us from point A to point B. Our imagination takes us everywhere. Well, what do you think imagination demands? It demands us building a picture we've never experienced, and that comes through trust. And when I say you have to build your I don't give an F muscle, where you don't give yourself a second to hesitate. See, when you're hesitating, you're not trusting. When you go and you're like, I'm just going all in, I'm doing X, that's when your power comes in. That's where your passion comes in. And that's when your internal GPS is guiding you, because you're in the spirit. You don't have that analytical mind blocking you.
Arash, we talk a lot about standard, about drawing that line in the sand, and you don't accept anything below your standard. And then there's also people who are perfectionists. And if it's not going to be done perfectly, maybe they'll throw their hands up in the air, and it's either all or nothing, right? It's either perfect or it's nothing. But where do you draw the balance in that so that you can trust yourself and make decisions, do your best every day, get 1% better every day?
Well, to me, you got to know if you're having a hard time right now and you're not making it happen, your way is not working. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Well, if your way is not working, I would do the exact opposite. I mean, that's what I did 15 years ago. I said, my way is not working. Didn't matter how many books I read. My way was not working. I was not implementing the books. I was not going after what I wanted. I was asking for permission first to be able to be like, okay, now I could go after it. I was asking all the wrong people's opinions. Well, when I said my way wasn't working, I'm going to try somebody who really knows what the hell they're doing. And I trusted it using the whole basis of today's podcast. I trusted something that I didn't know, but I knew based on their results, they had an idea. So I modeled it. And you have to start by going and saying you could change your destiny in the moment, but you have to start with a decision that says, I'm not going to keep doing what I've been doing that's keep getting me what I've been getting. See, anybody who does that, now it's not a mistake, it's a choice. So what I'm asking everybody to do is understand there's another person inside of you that's dying to come out. That person trusts themselves. That person has a significant amount of passion. See, when the pursuit of your goal is embedded with passion, everything works in your favor. Literally everything. You may fail, but it won't stop you. It may be just a real small failure that creates your biggest success. And what we have to understand is all failure is disguised in the next move. If you'll do the next move in a bigger way, you're going to see your greatest success. Because I truly believe it is impossible to succeed without trusting yourself.
Arash, you've really mastered this. Like, I know you well enough to know that you trust yourself more than you trust anyone else. Like, you really know that you can rely on yourself. But a lot of times it's the opposite for people. They feel like they can trust anybody else. They can trust anybody else's input or what they tell them to do, what more than they can trust themselves and what they know to be right. Why is that? Why is it so easy to trust other people or outside circumstances?
Because they're always looking for instant gratification. I'm going to go where somebody's going to tell me what I want to hear. For me, you can't trust anybody until you trust yourself. You can't lead anybody until you lead yourself. And so everything for me, like I understand the process of developing trust, and I'll give it to you. It's number one, you've got to detach from the outside. You got to be really in a neutral place. And then when you're neutral, now it's not letting the outside dictate. It's not letting the inside dictate. It's just you're right in the middle where you could get to the truth. The truth is always when you're observing the circumstance, the situation yourself. But you do it with a detached attitude where you don't have any attachment. You can't trust with attachment. And as you build your intuition, I'm telling you, it's going to take you so far. Go look at anybody successful. I don't care who you admire. Go study them and watch. I will tell you, I can guarantee it. Every single person who's created a significant level of success has built a significant connection with their intuition and trusting themselves, where they just know that they know. Your paradigm has to be of this knowingness even before you see it. And we all have access to this intuition. It's not like I have it and you don't. We've got to practice it. Practice it with the small things. Like I was using that example. If you're driving and normally you go straight, but you turn right because there's something that told you to turn right, and that's how you're going to develop the trust. I can tell you a story. When I was really failing, I remember we had a mutual acquaintance, and that's how we got connected. And, I remember I was going to buy my wife. I mean, I was really losing. I was going to go buy her a massage for her birthday. And I was sitting in the parking lot. And I mean, I didn't even know if I could afford a massage for her. And I remember sitting there and I came up with this idea. And the idea, I was going to do it for free. Well, I ended up sharing this idea with our mutual acquaintance. He goes, "You'll never believe this. I was looking for that exact thing." And imagine if I didn't say anything. Well, that person ended up, I told him it. The person who had an enormous impact on my life was my main mentor. Well, he gets on the phone with me. We have a wonderful relationship for the next 15 years. But I trusted myself even when I was losing. See, we've got to be strong enough to bet on ourselves. Like that's trusting. I'm always talking. We've talked about it many times here. You have to have a certain amount of courage, but you have to bet on yourself. When you're betting on yourself, you're trusting you. And there's no better person than to bet on than you.
Raj, you said something really specific there. You said you can't trust if you have attachment or if you're attached. What does that mean?
Like when you're letting the outside dictate it, where you're attached to the results. You're attached to somebody else's emotional reaction to it. That's being attached to something. When you're detached, you're coming from the observer. So you're not attached. You're not even biased about it. You're like, let me get to the truth. What is going to happen is you're going to feel. And you're going to start, what happens is as you start building this feeling muscle, it's going to start channeling to you on a conscious level to say, hey, pay attention to this. This is what's about to happen. And once you get really good at it, you're going to be able to do it constantly. And this isn't a woo-woo thing. This is an actual, your subconscious mind is giving your conscious mind direction because you've asked for it. But you have to be open to it and you have to open your heart. And that's why you have to be detached. When we're attached to anything, it owns us. It owns us all the time. I always joke, there's only two things I'm attached to. And it's the Cowboys or the Yankees. I mean, and we haven't won. The Cowboys haven't won in 30 years. I mean, they're the only thing I'm attached to their results. I always joke about it. They drive me up the wall, but maybe this year will be different.
Maybe this year will be different. I saw they were calling Dak Imprescott this year, which I think is a good sign.
Very good.
All right, let's get into the action step for today.
I will tell you how to build trust. I'm telling you, I'm not trying to tell you something that isn't the truth. You've got to develop your I don't give an F muscle where you go all in, where you're like, I'm just going. And you want to start trusting the little things. I want you to trust the little action steps. Start it with the little things and detach. Don't be attached to anything. But just remember this. This is the best advice I can give you if you will accept this idea. You will always know the truth because it resonates with the essence of who you are. See, a lot of people will think, I got to sleep on it. You don't have to sleep on it. You're not trusting yourself. You know whether something is going to grow you or contract you. And ask yourself, is this growing me? Then I say yes to it. If it's contracting me, I say no to it. Now, I'll give you another one. When it's contracting you, even though you can get a financial gain, you got to say no to it. You're going to allow, by saying no, you're saying yes to new opportunities, and you're going to allow a whole new wealth of abundance to come into your life.
So good. Arash, thank you so much. This has been such a great episode. Thank you all for joining us for another episode of the Seven Figure Standard. And if you could leave us a rating and review, share